Chapter 11. Digging. With the storm over, the temperature began to drop fast. That afternoon, for the first time in a while, the sun was in the sky, but still the air was cold, almost crackly, and seemed to be headed towards freezing. Towards midday, the animals heard Dewey drive off in the car, and Figgy started digging again. She tried to concentrate on her work and not thinking about anything else. Focus, Figgy, she said quietly to herself. It's up to you. This is the only way we're going to get out. It wasn't easy. She pawed and scraped and scooped, trying to find a rhythm. Fluff and Nanny and Tick stood waiting for the pig to push them dirt, and when Figgy did, nosing it through the cracks, they spread it around their pens to get rid of it. They were a good team, but the going was slow. While he teetered over what his own plan would be, Burdock had somewhat reluctantly agreed to Nanny's suggestion. He would stand watch at the barn doors and alert everyone the moment Dewey returned. Mrs. Brown felt helpless. She wanted to contribute somehow, but she was on the wrong side of the aisle to help Figgy, and even if she hadn't been, she wasn't especially limber, and at least not enough to go about bending her nose in the ground, pawing at piles of dirt. She looked over at the Horse brothers, who were now back in their stalls, their heads leaned together, clearly discussing something. Mrs. Brown let out a low It was a sigh, but there was a musical note to it, and she liked the way it sounded, so she did it again. Her mother used to sing, back when Mrs. Brown was a calf at the McAllisters' farm a few towns away. Remembering how the singing always comforted her and lulled her, she began singing very softly. When the moon hits the sky like a big bale of rye, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like the sweat of a swine, that's amore. Nanny leaned over the pen to listen. She was waiting for the next distribution of dirt from Figgy. That's nice, Mrs. Brown, she said. Cowbells ring, ting-a-ling-ling, ting-a-ling-ling, and you'll sing, Vida Bell. Lamps will play, tippity-tap, like gay tangerine. Fluff shuffled over and tried to sing along. What she lacked in musically, she made up for with enthusiasm. When the creek makes you drool, 'cause it's sweet and it's cool, that's amore. When your hoofs down the street with the fresh grass at your feet, you're in love. The words of a song went softly around and around after Fluff joined in, so did Nanny and Tick, singing as they worked. Even Tug Pole's full bar tunes came in once, for the brothers had stopped their talking, and Fig dug and dug and dug to the regular rhythm. It helped her concentrate. It went on for what must have been a long time, and their voices and steady movements seemed to warm up the barn, or at least made it feel less cold. Suddenly, with a squeal, Figgy exclaimed, I see light! I'm through! And there it was, a star of clear, bright afternoon beaming into the barn. And then Burdock gave the signal that Dewey was back.